Hello, I'm Matthew Knott, news editor of StudyTravel magazine, and this is editorial assistant Clarissa Waldron. Welcome to the StudyTravel news broadcast on the 20th of April 2017, bringing you a roundup of the latest international education news. The headlines.
Feltham calls for enhanced student visas in Malta.
UK public opinion poll shows positive attitude to international students.
South Africa announces 90-day visa-free access for Russian visitors.
Malta's ELT association, Feltham, is lobbying the government for work-study permits and walk-in applications to boost the number of international students coming to study English, following the release of its annual report showing a decrease in student weeks and operating profit.
Genevieve Abella, CEO of the association, said the measures would boost local intake and increase international student recruitment from different markets, adding that the ELT sector was a vital contributor to the local economy.
The 7th annual Feltham report, produced by Deloitte, shows that despite a slight increase in international student numbers compared with 2015, student weeks declined by 4% to 229,000, well below the sector peak in 2014. The average stay of 20.9 days was down 5.5% compared with the previous year and was the shortest since 2012.
Expenditure by ELT students in Malta was estimated at €139 million in 2016, 8.1% of the total tourist spend on the island.
Total gross revenue increased by 2.8% to €73.9 million, and revenue per student week jumped by 7% to €323. But direct costs increased at a higher rate, leading to a 15% decrease in gross operating profit per student week to €36.
The majority of the revenue increase came from a rise in accommodation revenue, with tuition revenue growing by only 1.1%. The amount spent on agency commission by Feltham schools increased by 9.6% to €10.6 million, representing 28% of tuition revenue.
The majority of the British public do not believe international students should be seen as migrants, in contrast to government policy, according to the findings of an opinion poll commissioned by Universities UK.
The survey, conducted by polling company ComRes and based on 4,043 responses, found that only 26% viewed international students as immigrants, while 73% say they would like the UK to either maintain or increase the number of international students it hosts, after discovering the economic contribution they make.
The opinion poll also found that 64% of respondents agreed international students have a positive impact on the local economies of where they study, and 3/4 said students should have fixed-term post-study work rights.
Dame Julia Goodfellow, President of Universities UK, said it was clear that the British public saw students as valuable temporary visitors, and argued that the UK needed an immigration policy that encouraged students to choose the UK to counter enrolment declines while competitor destinations were growing.
The South African Department of Home Affairs has confirmed that Russian citizens will be able to travel to South Africa visa-free for 90 days, joining source markets such as the EU countries, Brazil and Japan.
Welcoming the news, Jens von Wichtingen, Director of Cape Studies, told StudyTravel magazine that the Russian market had largely been ignored because it was previously problematic for Russian students to get study permits, and that the move should dramatically increase enrolments.
Johannes Kraus, chair of Association Education South Africa, said it was great news that the industry desperately needed and that schools would happily grow business relationships with Russian agents.
Anastasia Romanenko, Managing Director of Insight Lingua Agency in Moscow, told StudyTravel magazine it was a great positive change. She said she wasn't expecting South Africa to become hugely popular, but the visa-free situation would help to promote the country.
And now a roundup of some of the other news stories this week. The International Association of Language Centres, or IALC, has commenced the search for a new executive director after announcing that Jan Kappa will be standing down on May 19th, after more than 20 years with the organisation.
Ireland-headquartered provider Emerald Cultural Institute is expanding further into the UK junior business, with the opening of a second summer centre at Worth School in Sussex this year.
Wentworth Military Academy and College, a US-based secondary provider, has announced it will cease all educational operations at the end of May. The school said that all agent partners have been contacted and all international students will be transferred to another provider.
Agency Management Systems, a software product for study travel agents, has announced that its client inquiry platform will now be free, with users now only paying prepaid credits for confirmed enrolments.
For more information on these and other Study Travel magazine news stories, please visit www.studytravel.network.
Thank you for joining us this week on STTV News. Until next week, goodbye from me.
Thank you. Goodbye.